In Boca Raton, I'm dealing with toxic heavy metals, volatile organic compounds, parabens, phthalates, PBA, of course. There's carcinogenic preservatives. Mold and fungi is quite prolific in South Florida. I have a case of a 20-year-old girl with mold. I have another female in her late 50s, and she's had mold symptoms for about 10 years now. So it's crossed the ages. The worst thing we have yet to see, though, is radiation fallout. When Fukushima blew up, radioactive iodine went into the air. It was cold in Japan in March, and you could see the steam rising from the ruins of the plant. 4 out of 6 of the reactors are now damaged. We are in danger of a possible China syndrome to occur sometime soon. In the meantime, we have in our atmosphere and in our food and water supply strontium-90, cesium-134, and 137. Symptoms can be quite dramatic, as you can see in this young man's picture. The children of Japan are currently suffering from nosebleeds, unexplained headaches, and hair loss. This man has symptoms of internal bleeding. What we'll find here in America will be a little bit different, affecting the vascular system and the central nervous system, because we will have a constant low-dose exposure over a long period of time. When Chernobyl exploded in 1986, it wasn't contained to just Russia. As you can see by the map in the red and the pinks, the fallout occurred across Europe, Scandinavia, and the Middle East. Chernobyl acted very quickly. They entombed the plant within 6 weeks with cement, calling it a cement sarcophage. That has yet to happen at Fukushima. The biggest difference between the two of these plants, Chernobyl was only 30 days old when the explosion occurred. They were running a test, and the test failed. Fukushima is 40 years old. The spent fuel load is that much larger. 9 months, as I mentioned, have passed without the cement sarcophage. It does continue to emit steam. I mentioned in March it was cold. As the summer months grew warmer, you could no longer see the steam. So it was easy to assume when you saw a current picture of Fukushima that it was no longer leaking steam, but it is. And these radioactive isotopes continue to escape. As early as March 21st, Dr. Chris Busby, who formed the European Committee on Radiation Risk after Chernobyl, predicted 120,000 cancers worldwide from Fukushima. This is not a Japanese problem, it's a worldwide issue. I want to take a moment to explain the difference between ionizing versus non-ionizing radiation. Because some of us might be thinking, well, we're all exposed to a little bit of radiation every day. What difference does it make? You can stand out in the sun and be exposed to radiation. Yes, that's true. You can be. Non-ionizing radiation does not break chemical bonds. Ionizing radiation does break the chemical bonds, causes changes in the DNA, and you've got 3 types. You've got your atomic or subatomic particles, you've got your waves, which are electromagnetic, and you've got the neutrons. It's the neutrons that are the problem with Fukushima. The worst part of it, with an ionizing particle, the problem is not the number of particles, it's the energy level of the particle. It only takes 1 microgram of plutonium to create an entire spider web of chaos in your lung. The University of Berkeley in California has been quite active in monitoring the radiation fallout. They measured in Seattle 10 particles per hour per day. Some of the sources that we do get for radiation can be external. The external aren't as bothersome as the internal. It's when it goes inside you is the problem. There's no safe level. It's accumulative. Dr. Carl Morgan, the father of health physics, has stated there's no safe level. The biological effects of ionizing radiation, better known in the field as BEER-7, states there's no threshold for safety for exposure to ionizing radiation. The U.S. Department of Energy has chimed in. There's no level of radiation so low that it is without health risks. The effects of radiation to the body are cumulative. I want to introduce this chart for you so that you can see on this chart Let me see here. This chart is illustrating when someone is actually exposed to radiation immediately. And within hours, they're going to have a series of symptoms as the exposure goes higher and higher and higher. Your acute radiation poisoning, there's a 60% fatality rate. Your acute radiation poisoning, where your bone marrow becomes destroyed, you have nearly 100% fatality. The sieverts, microsieverts at the top and progressing to sieverts at the bottom, if someone does get more than 80 sieverts, there's possible instant death, but unfortunately, as it states down here at the bottom, that would be ideal. There's been a couple of recorded cases where people have actually been exposed to levels over 100 sieverts and live for hours or days.